Hi, I'm Quinn, and this is Deep Stretching with Open Awareness Yoga. Today you'll need a few props. You can do the practice with nothing, it's fine, except you do need a wall, some wall space, and don't worry, we can make it work even if you have just a door to practice with. But if you have a firm blanket folded to about these dimensions, or a bolster or firm pillow that's a little bit longer, you'll be lying on top of it, have that nearby. And then you may or may not want arm extenders, so yoga blocks or hardback books. This is Fiona. I think that she'll join us today unless she's bad, and then we'll get her out of here. So even on live, if you need to pause the video and then come back with the props, that's fine, you can do that. And then we'll sit up on something and cross your legs or find any comfortable seat. And we'll start with just a couple minutes of sound meditation. So palms face up on the knees, roll your shoulders back and bring them directly above your hips. Close your eyes. Take a few breaths and settle in here. Now notice the sounds that are happening around you. And try not to label the noises that you hear, but just pick up the raw vibration of sound. Let all the noises around you enter your ears without picking out or honing in on one sound over another. And in the noise or quiet that's around you, can you also hear the sounds of your own breath? Perhaps from outside of your body or from inside of your body. And we'll sit here for another minute. If your mind wanders, just pull it back to the anchor of sound. Let's bring your hands to touch in front of your heart. Take an inhale breath to lift the chest. Keep it lifted as you exhale, bow chin to chest. If you have an intention for your practice, something you'd like to develop in your life, in your heart and your soul, repeat it to yourself here. And lift your head, release your hands to your lap, open your eyes. And we'll take our first pose. So we'll be lying on our back this whole practice. If whatever you're on top of isn't very padded, you might want to grab the blanket, place it underneath you so that your spine is comfortable. So for this first pose, we won't be using a prop underneath us. You can set those aside. You might use your blocks, you might not, but we're going up the wall. So any way you know how to get your legs up the wall is fine. The kind of easy way is to sit at one edge of your mat with the side of your body flush against the wall. And then roll over backwards, swinging your legs up the wall. You can scoot either closer to the wall if your hamstrings have the space, or a little further away from the wall so that you feel comfortable and so that your buttocks feels grounded on the floor. And then we'll start by opening the legs wide. And so here, a couple of options. One, if this is an intense stretch on you, use your hands. Even just the touch of the hands on the bottom of the legs can help the legs relax. And if your hands don't reach the legs, you can use an arm extender, like a block or a book, to place just some support underneath the legs. And if you don't have enough room in your house, you can bend one knee in towards the chest, place that foot on the wall, and then just slide the other leg out long. You can scoot right to left, depending on your space, to figure this one out. Wherever you are, we'll be here for a while. So you can find usage of the props or the furniture in your room available to you to find yourself comfortable and able to release. If you aren't using your hands or your arms for support, you might bring them onto the belly, onto the chest, or to the side of the body, palms face up. For more heart opening, you might bring the arms out to a T. And if you don't have space, bend 90 degrees at the elbow. And just notice where you feel this in your body. If you're feeling any pain in the inner knee or outer knee, bring your hands underneath your legs. Bring the legs together, and you'll take a different pose. We'll all do this in a moment, but you'll do it twice. You'll bring the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. We don't want any pressure or force on the joint of the knees, and sometimes that can happen here. So finding again a connection to the sensations within your body. Notice the quality of the feeling. Does it feel tight, ropey, stringy, or maybe slippery, fluid, silky? Do you feel a noticeable difference between the right and left sides of the body? Here in this deep stretching class, we're practicing a style of yoga called yin yoga. And we hold the poses for about 5 minutes each. And this isn't so much about stretching the muscles as it is stressing the connective tissue. This is a good sort of stress. But because we hold the shape for so long, some people's bodies feel done before 5 minutes. And if that's you, you can always adjust your position so that it feels like you're in a safe space for your body. Any sharp or shooting pains, any sensations that you just cannot relax within are signs to move out of the shape that you're making and find a neutral place. to recover, to relax. We have just under a minute left in this first shape. Notice if the textures of the sensations you're feeling have changed any over the period of time you've been here. Enjoy one last breath here. And bend your knees and walk or slide your heels back up together so that your legs are just straight up the wall. If you like, you can bend your knees into your chest and even adjust where you are in space. We'll take a moment to recuperate. And if you just did one side, you'll move to the second side. So if you're one of the people without the space on your wall, you'll go ahead and bend the other knee and slide your leg that hasn't opened yet out long. Otherwise, continue to rest. If you're on your second side, you'll stay there. If you had both of your legs apart, bring both of them straight back up to the sky. Just the legs up the wall. Pay close attention to the sensations and feelings in your feet. Notice your big toes, your second toes, third toes, fourth toes, and fifth toes. Notice the spaces between your toes. Feel for the balls of your feet, your metatarsals, and scan from the big toe metatarsal to the pinky toe metatarsal. Feel the arches of your feet. Feel your heels. Feel the point or points on your feet that are touching the wall. Notice the tops of your feet, from toenails to ankle front. Now feel your ankles. No matter which position you're in, there's just a couple more minutes. And as always, finish when you're done. This shape is great to take before bedtime. It helps to calm the mind, slow the heart rate, slow the breath. It's also a counter pose to being right way up all day. Here the legs are upside down. If you're in your second side, one foot on the wall and one leg open wide, make your way back to both legs up the wall as you see me. And take any rest that you need. You can bend the knees into the chest or roll to one side. If your legs have been up the wall for a while now, slide the heels down the wall, bending your knees in towards your chest. And you might press the feet into the wall to scoot your buttocks further away from the wall to rest. You too can roll to one side or find any comfortable neutral shape. Take what you need. Notice the sounds around you now. The sounds within you. If you haven't yet rolled to the side, do so now. Slide one of your arms underneath your head for a pillow. Take a few breaths. And blink your eyes open, and if you're using a prop, a bolster or a blanket, find it. And you'll go ahead and sit up, and then place the prop about an inch or two away from the wall. So there is a gap between the wall and your prop. And we'll come to legs up the wall again, this time sitting on top of the prop. Again, the prop is not right against the wall. That's important. And now sitting on top of it again, roll over backwards and swing your legs up the wall. Now here what we want with this prop is a forward tilt of our pelvis. So it should feel like your tailbone is dropping down towards the floor on the wall side of your prop. So if you don't feel that rocking down towards the floor, like the flesh of the buttocks hovering over the floor, then adjust. Lift your hips, scoot the bolster either closer to your head or closer to the wall until you feel a drop of the buttocks flesh down towards the floor. Now I'll bring the soles of the feet together and slide the heels down the wall, knees open wide. Again, it could feel nice to use your hands as support underneath the thighs or to use your blocks or books. Bring your hands to your belly if that's comfortable for you. Tuck your shoulders underneath you. Release your head back. Neck is long, throat soft. And feel how your belly rises and falls with your breath. Maybe even for a few breaths, exaggerate the stretch of the belly skin as you inhale. And let all of the air out, every last drop. And when you're done experimenting with that, return to normal breath. Consciously softening the skin of the belly. Speaking gently to yourself that it's okay to release. It's okay to let go. Here you're not only stretching the groins and the inner upper thighs, but you're also opening the pelvic floor. And every inhale breath that you take also stretches the pelvic floor. And that's the space between your two sitting bones and between your pubic bone and your tailbone, right at the base of your torso. Can you feel the breath expand and contract in this space? With the same rhythm as your belly beneath your hands. Attention on your breath, softening of the belly, and movement with the breath in the pelvic floor. Another 2 minutes here, if you choose. Notice if you're holding any extra tension in your shoulders, in your neck, anywhere in your body. And invite those areas to release, surrendering to gravity. Slip down towards the ground. Let go. Notice if you feel any different now, having been in this shape for almost 5 minutes. And if you don't notice anything, that's okay too. Now to come out of this shape, we bring the hands underneath the thighs, between the thighs and the wall. And then pull the knees together. And again, slide the legs straight up the wall. Resting here, or again in any shape that you prefer. Stay with your low belly, the movement in your pelvic floor. Stay with your body. Stay with your present moment experience. Even though the mind likes to travel to the past or the future, we can train the mind to focus and become curious and more interested in what's going on in the present moment by observing the body and the breath. We'll keep opening up similar area in the body than what we just did. This is a very similar shape, but this time we'll cross the legs at the shins and then slide the heels down the wall. So it's like an easy seated position, Sukhasana. Again, you can use the hands in any way that you might need. And you can also adjust the distance of your buttocks from the wall. If you find that the support of your props underneath you feels uncomfortable or like it's getting in your way of enjoying the pose, then adjust them. Let your body intuitively realign into a shape that can truly allow a release into the earth. Scan your body, seeking areas that are holding on or gripping. And when you find one, settle your awareness there and send your breath into that space. The body is one whole connected system. And so although physically you're filling and emptying your lungs in your ribs, that movement of the lungs ripples throughout the entire body. The whole body undulates with each breath, unless we're holding rigid our muscles and our bones around the space. And everyone has places where they hold that structure sound. The body has learned for one reason or another to guard and protect. As you scan your body and spend a few moments at each of the places you find that are guarded in this way, you might know why. It might be a site of an old injury or a place where you know you hold tension. Or it might be a place that surprises you. Now is not the time to figure out what or why or when. No conversation is needed. Just the soothing, life-giving direction of your breath. And permission inside of yourself to the pieces of yourself to soften when they're ready. No rush. And from here, we'll switch sides. First, send the legs back up the wall. And then if you, like me, thought, I don't really want that prop underneath me, lift your hips up, slide it out from underneath you, and then settle the hips back down on the floor. Here, cross the other shin or ankle on top. Slide the legs down towards the floor. and find your second side. And don't worry if you don't know what your second side is. Your body will remember once you've spent a few minutes or even a few moments if you're repeating the same thing. Chances are the second side is the one that feels a little weird. Remember, you can use your hands, even if they're not doing much of anything. Just that moral support, skin to skin, can help. Notice what your mind is on. And if you caught it wandering, that's okay. Bring it back to your scanning, breathing, and releasing practice. And if you feel like you've already scanned the whole body once, start again. Check back in with those spots that you may have already released. See if they've fallen back into a habit of holding, of tension, as the mind wandered off. And with the patience of training a new pet in the house, just return to the task. Drawing that rambunctious mind into the body and into the moment with the breath. Take your last few breaths in this shape. And pull the knees into the chest. If you haven't come off of your prop, go ahead and do that now. Slide it out from underneath you. Bring your right arm behind you along the floor above your head. And then roll over onto your right side. We'll rest in the fetal position. Get comfortable here. Taking some pressure off of the back, especially if the surface underneath you is hard. You might have noticed just how bony you are. Noticing the effects of gravity and the effects of your release. Let's move back into legs up the wall, and we'll head into a twist next. So pull the knees into the chest and place the soles of your feet on the wall. Bring your arms out to a T, palms face up. And then crawl the feet over to the right. Drop the knees over to the right. So the feet stay touching on the wall. And you come into a nice balled up twist. From here, if your left shoulder is lifting off the floor and your arm is falling back in space, then bring the knees back in towards center as much as you need to so that the left side shoulder is on the floor. And then find one of your props. Can be any of them. Place it underneath your thighs so that they have something to rest on. If your left shoulder is firmly grounded and you don't have any neck injuries, you might turn to look over your left shoulder. Then let go. Do nothing. Be nobody but a twisting body, breathing here in space. Twisting like this compresses the digestive organs, which can aid with digestion and elimination. You might notice gurgles and burbles, gas moving in the body, and even out of the body. If your head is dropped over to the left, bring it back to center. And use your feet on the wall to bring your body, the hips and the legs back to center. And send the legs straight up the wall to release the backs of the knees. Notice any difference between the right and left sides. How does the right side waist, the right side of the belly feel? And is that any different from the left side waist, the left side of the belly? There's no right answer. Spend as much time in observation as you'd like. And when you're ready, knees to chest, feet on the wall. Crawl the feet and drop the knees over to the left. Both sides will be different. If that right shoulder is hovering off the ground, bring the knees back towards center so that the right shoulder is grounded, and place a prop underneath the left thigh. And you can use your props in any creative way that you'd like. So any part of the body that feels uncomfortable, play around with supporting it with your pillow or blanket or block. If your right shoulder is fully grounded and your neck is okay, you have the option to turn to look over your right shoulder. For another 3 minutes, do nothing. Be nothing but a pile of bones falling to the earth. Check in with your mind. If it's wandered, gently draw it back to body, breath, and moment. As often as needed, draw the mind back to the moment. Using the feet on the wall, crawl the knees back to center and extend the legs up once more. Comparing right and left sides. Breathing. Bend your knees slightly, place your feet on the wall, and then scoot away from the wall. Just a few inches to start. And then bring your right leg off of the wall. From the right hip socket, turn the right leg out, bend the knee, and place the right ankle right beneath the left knee. So closer to the hip, that side of the knee. Take your right hand, press the right thigh towards the wall. No knee pain here. If you have any knee pain, back out. If you're not feeling much of anything, slide your left heel down the wall until you get a stretch in this right outer hip or anywhere that you feel it. Here, bring the arms along the sides of the body, palms face up, and breathe. An assisted figure 4 stretch. Oftentimes when we're doing this pose, we're holding the left leg in some way, but here you can completely release the upper body, the shoulders and the arms. Take advantage of that. Imagine that from the waist up, your body's just asleep. Nothing's going on. We'll be here for about 2 more minutes. If you'd like to release the neck, rock the head from side to side. Take a deeper breath in and out. Find those familiar areas of tension and invite them to release. Here we'll slide that left leg back up the wall and bring the right leg to meet it. Rest. Heading into the second side now. Externally rotate the left leg from the hip socket. And place your ankle right below the right knee. Take your left hand, press the left thigh towards the wall. And if you need a little bit more, slide the right heel down the wall to pull the knee in towards the chest. When you found just the right amount of sensation, bring the arms back to the side of the body and completely let go. Some people feel quite a strong sensation in this stretch. If that's you, crawl into that experience. Like an action movie, let this strong sensation draw your attention completely. Sometimes we avoid strong sensations in our body, whether they be physical sensations or emotional sensations or even mental anxieties. We try to distract ourselves or ignore them. They're going on in the background, but outside of our awareness. There's messages in those sensations and there's solutions inside of yourself. And so by practicing in the safety of yoga, where you have complete control over whether or not to stay in the shape, to adjust yourself so that you feel more right in the shape, or to rest completely. Observe more. Feel more. Embody more of what's real for you. And know that simply by doing this, you heal. You change. You become more honestly you. And who you are is enough. Straighten your right leg. Send both legs back up the wall. Rest. Breathe. Now, if you've got room behind you, you'll take your Shavasana with your feet against the wall. But if you don't have room behind you, you can adjust so that you're in just a regular Shavasana shape, just laying on the floor. Otherwise, press your feet into the wall. Most of my body will disappear from the camera, but you'll see what I mean. And my feet are still on the wall, heels on the floor. Legs are straight as in Shavasana. Arms along the side of the body, closer to the hips now. Palms face up. The support of the wall underneath the soles of the feet with the legs flat on the floor is very grounding, stabilizing to the back. Hold you in a more firm container of experience. Make yourself as comfortable as possible. And then just let go. Final resting pose. As you slip into your rest, you may choose to scan the body again, finding any areas where it feels like the breath isn't moving. And caress those places with a few inhales and exhales. And once you've finished that scan, take your time. Perhaps you come back to sound. And just as you began practice, letting all sound enter simply as vibration. Or maybe you just let your mind go. Just a couple more minutes. You're welcome to stay here in Shavasana as long as you like. Or if you're ready to finish up your practice, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rock your head side to side. And stretch your arms overhead along the floor. Bend your knees. Place your feet on the floor. And roll to one side. Stay there. Spend a few breaths in the fetal position. And when you're ready, press your hands down into the floor to sit yourself up. Coming back to a seated position. Roll your shoulders back and down. Line them up right over the hips. Close your eyes and bring your palms to touch in front of your heart. Ending practice as we began, take a deep breath in to lift the heart. And as you exhale, chin comes to chest, bowing down. Remember your intention if you had one. Thank you for practicing. If you have any questions, please let me know. Bye.